Hey everyone, this is Eric Allman with Eric Allman Films, and today we're going to be looking at building a better builder funnel in 5 steps. You'll be able to take what you learn in this video and apply it to your own business. Let's jump in. So step number 1 is the numbers. And why are the numbers important? So knowing the numbers makes our funnel trackable. And this is an area where a lot of marketers and owners of businesses go wrong. They create a funnel and maybe even some of it's trackable. Facebook and Google track a lot, but if there's a part of your funnel where you're not able to track the conversion that has to happen there in order for somebody to buy, then that tracking is broken. And you can know pretty well all of your numbers, but unless you know every single point, there's a missing piece of the puzzle. So if this is our simple builder funnel for demonstration purposes, and we're using Facebook ad just for demonstration purposes only. It could be an Instagram, a Google, or a YouTube, or any other, a Pinterest ad, anything like that. And our customer journey goes from Facebook ad to the website, to booking a meeting, to becoming a home buyer. That's a common funnel that many builders use, that many businesses use. And in this example right here, we don't know the numbers yet, or maybe we know the cost per click and the click-through rate because that's what Facebook gives us, but we don't have any custom conversions set up, and we're not tracking the cost per sales meeting or the landing page conversion rate because we don't have all of our tracking software installed correctly, or we're just not set up to be able to track everything. Then we don't know those numbers. It's really important when we measure every conversion point in the funnel because that's the only way we know if our ads are performing well. We could have a great click-through rate and great cost per click, but it doesn't mean anything if something's broken later in the funnel or something's underperforming later in the funnel. So in this example, the AOV, or average order value, aka the cost of the home, is $100,000. And say you want to sell with your campaign a group of homes, and they range from $80,000 to $120,000. Well, then we're going to select $100,000 as the average order value, and we find the average order of profit by subtracting the revenue, or the total gross revenue, so the average order value. From that, we subtract the COGS, or the cost of goods sold, which gives us a balance of $20,000 in this example. That's our average order profit. And these are very important numbers to know, but they are not up for debate. These are the hard numbers. So you need to find what these hard numbers are in your business and go with those numbers. And the number we're trying to get to is the CPA, the cost per acquisition. And basically, this is the max you're willing to spend to acquire a new home buyer. Typically, this should be anywhere between 25 and 50% of the average order of profit. And you might be thinking, well, I don't want to give away, that much of my profit. And the goal is that you don't. The goal is that that's your max you're willing to spend. And all of the numbers for the funnel are based off of that CPA. So it's important that we come up with a reasonable number there and a number that is scalable. So ideally, we come up with, in this example, $7,000. And although you would rather get them for $5,000, you're willing to spend up to $7,000. And if we decide to scale this model, you can spend $7,000 all day long and make a ton of money because you're buying basically each new customer or home buyer for $7,000, leaving you $13,000 in profit. Which means you've already accounted for the crew in your cost of goods sold to build the home. So we've now decided, okay, we're willing to spend up to $7,000 to attract each new home buyer. So what do we do with that? Okay, that's next. So now here's that same funnel before. And you can see over on the right, the home buyer. Below that, we have $7,000 is the CPA. That basically is our ending point, and we reverse engineer the economics of the funnel from there. So if we know that we want to stay under $7,000, we now have to look at, well, what's your closing ratio? What's the sales meeting closing ratio? That's what that 20% SM conversion is. So we've decided that 20% is your closing ratio. So we say, okay, 20% of 7,000 is $1,400, which is our cost per sales meeting. So now that number goes right there. This is how we reverse engineer everything down to the very beginning. And if we look on your website, okay, how many people that come to your website through this channel, from an ad to your website, how many of those people then book a meeting? Okay, well, if it's 2%, that would be a 2% landing page conversion. We know that we can spend 2% of $1,400 on our cost per click. So that equals $28. So now we know generally at each conversion point in this simple funnel what we can spend. And these become our key performance indicators. And we have this 1% click-through rate down here. That's important, and I don't want to add in too much here because we want to keep it simple. But if you decide, okay, we want to attract 5 new clients a month, and now we have a predictable formula here from a financial side where our benchmarks are. If we know our click-through rate is 1%, that means that if we want to attract 5 new clients, we can do the math and figure out, based on these percentages and numbers, how many impressions we need. So that's another metric that is important to know if you have a goal for how many new clients you want to attract, which I encourage you to have that goal. So, but that's getting a little more complicated than we want to go in this video. So like I said, these become our key performance indicators. And these are what we are measuring against on an ongoing basis. We measure our results against these key performance indicators, and that tells us what we want to track, test, optimize, and iterate. We're constantly tracking, testing, and optimizing and iterating variables that contribute to these metrics. So that could mean the creative on the Facebook ad, really testing that, because that really has a lot to do with how many people even enter our funnel. That's the opening. And we want to make sure we're attracting the right kind of people. We don't want to get a lot of people into our funnel who aren't going to be home buyers, because that's how we pay more for each client. Right away, we want to turn off all the people who won't end up being buyers, as many as possible, because that's going to make our CPA lower if we, from the very beginning, don't even let them into our funnel. You know, they're not attracted to the messaging that we're putting out there. So that's a big area of testing. Another is, creative on the landing page. What's the messaging look like? Are people watching the video? Things like that. So there's a lot of variables that contribute to each conversion point. Those are where you want to test, optimize, and iterate on an ongoing basis. So that's it for the numbers. Next up is installing a tag manager in step number 2. For help implementing an entire green growth campaign for your brand, you can visit ericallmanfilms.com.